Welcome back to the Eye of Jupiter podcast. I'm your host, Tom Franklin, and today we were supposed to have one of the dudes from the Sasquatchers Network, but something happened in which they couldn't come. It's personal, things happen. Andrew, JD, no problem. We'll get you on at another time. Of course, my thumbnail will not fit with the person who's jumped in for me. It's one of my great moderators. He has a channel. It's called Magical Journey. We all call him Magical for short, or Magical Journey. He's also known as Daniel Cohoon, and he's going to be coming on the show. And we're going to be talking about a myriad of things: his trip to Tennessee, and some people he's met, and some of his new insights. And he's always a very insightful person. We had a podcast back in the day, but I don't know, a couple months ago. But my audio was so bad that it didn't get the proper views I think it should have. Speaking of views, I am currently at 793 subscriptions. Not that it's important, but I always like to set myself little goals. Maybe by the end of this episode, we can get to 800. You know, why not? I got on my Rammstein shirt. If you keep finding yourself coming back to the Eye of Jupiter podcast, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share. Doesn't cost you guys anything, but it helps me out immensely. You can also find me over on Rumble. You can also find me on Spotify. And I think that's all the housekeeping. So all the way from the deep, dark south of the United States in a hotel room somewhere in Alabama, jumped in for me. He just got up. I think we're honestly both showering at the same time. I got off work. He got up. It all happens. So with all love and respect from me as well as everyone on the podcast, please welcome to the Eye of Jupiter, Mr. Daniel Cohoon.
Hello, hello.
Hey, that's quite the intro, I hope.
Yeah, it was very good. You know what? Like I was telling you, it's all about spontaneity now and being flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to be these days, you know, because like the world is so topsy-turvy that you just kind of have to be flexible. And you were saying before, you know, we were in the green room before the show started that there was an interview with a lady who was 101, and you were saying that, you know, they asked her, you know, what's the secret to a long life? And they were like, hey, it's all about being flexible, because if you're flexible, you won't have the stress. Therefore, the stress hormones won't make you die quicker. So, yeah, if you want to live a long life, chill out and relax.
Right, exactly. So the Pam, hey, how are you?
Hey, baby.
So let me ask you, like, should I be able to see the chat from here at this point?
Yeah, you can click on I think you should be able to have it, because I've been on, you should be in the comments section at the top. Do you see that by any chance? It's top right. It should be a little square which says comments. You see that? I don't know if you're on your phone or not.
Oh, yeah. Well, I see. You're talking about the one that has their icon on it? Whenever they...
You can see the person's picture. You can see... Yeah. And there you can see all... And I grab those and I highlight them. We're going to get you up to speed, too, because eventually you're going to be doing these as well. And I'm sure I'm going to be on your show as well. Speaking of, do me a favor, guys. Go over and like and subscribe to one of my best friends' channels. We've met over the podcast through... Actually, yeah. I think you see me on Texas Front Porch. Is that possible?
I'm trying to remember now. It feels like the last few months has been just a whirlwind for me. Actually, it was either I saw you on another show, or I saw you. It caught one of your shows when I was doing a search on here, and I was like, this is the person who I need to reach out to. And so, yeah, you. And it was just like, boom, you know. And so I sent you the email that I sent you, and you know, and it just kind of went from there. And it has been a very interesting experience so far, in a very good way. Yeah. Kind of a whirlwind lately, to be honest with you. And it all started here. Oh yeah,
at the Eye of Jupiter.
Yes,
dude,
it really did.
Podcast. Me and you had the longest podcast that I've ever had. I think it was 1 hour and 47 minutes or some crazy thing like that. I mean, we could have kept going probably for another 2 hours. I was just like, dude, I gotta eat something. You were like, me too. And we just got stuff out of there, dude.
Right, right. You know, I'm
Dude,
going to tell you something experience
yeah.
I had very early on
Okay.
that I wasn't aware of the impact that it had on this person until she introduced me uh, at a speaking engagement at her shop one night. She had asked me to come speak, and I was much younger then, had no clue what I was doing, was just kind of um, at the point of really experiencing things. But we sat down at her shop because I'd come in. She was like, she just wanted a break. It had been a busy morning. Uh, she came and she had two chairs in the middle of the shop, and we sat down over there and we just started talking. And like 3 hours later, I had noticed nobody had come into the shop. And it didn't even occur to me. I didn't even know how long. I thought we had only been talking for a few minutes. And I was like, well, it's kind of odd that your business died down so much. She said, you're telling me? She said, this has been the slowest 3 hours of my entire life, business wise. And I was like, 3 hours. And she goes,
Wow.
yeah. She said, you know, and she said, and it's been very exciting to me to be able to talk to you about stuff. And I was like, okay. Um, I didn't think any more about it because you know when you're gosh, I had to be like maybe 22, 23 maybe at the time. I could be way off too because my timelines are all crazy some days. But
Okay.
when she when she introduced me at the the night of the speaking engagement, what she said really struck me as very being very odd at that time. But now it's become a very common occurrence in my life with people. She said we he came into my shop and we sat down to have a conversation, and she said it was like we were literally lifted off the ground and surrounded by energy that just blocked the rest of the world out
Wow.
because for 3 hours there was nobody came into the shop, and she even told him, she said I was on for a record day before that, business wise. And she said, and she said I don't regret it. I just found it interesting at how quickly it shut down when
What do
he
you think?
came in the door.
What do you think that's attributed to? I know you're in this bubble that you were talking about, but do you think people sensed it, or what do you feel about that?
My understanding now, after a few years of being on this path, is that when source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has an agenda, a time frame for something to happen, that there are several things that could happen. One, you could literally be put in a bubble, and there will be like there was an image given to me at one time of the shield over me and seven, or not seven, but four angels on each one on each side of the compass points, guarding the bubble. And this is one way. Another way is literally being lifted up into the etherics. Um, and the list kind of goes on because the source is infinite, and therefore the possibilities are infinite. Whatever source deems necessary at the time is what's going to happen. And this is one of the things that and I tend to want to say source a lot now because when I use the terms
Because
father,
it's
mother, and anything else, it tends to repulse people. I don't know why the human
it's
race
tainted.
has gotten so much.
It's tainted. It's been tainted by concepts and books and what people have done to those books, because you can use a synonym for it, and people tend to be repulsed by it. I could understand why, actually.
I mean, I get it. I get it. But we're not talking about lard versus olive oil here. We're talking about, we're talk, I mean,
Was this a
really,
cooking show?
seriously, it's like, but this is kind of what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the response people give whenever you talk about an undesirable food, and I'm like, really? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anyway, so that was kind of what that reminded me of that night was like it was kind of like we had just been pushed in that bubble again, and it was time to do that. Uh,
Do you recall any of the conversation?
yeah, actually, because I do remember. That's the thing of it. Usually remember these things, but when stuff like that happens, this is when I know that I'm having an experience that's beyond the norm. Um, I'm very aware of everything, but time seems to stop,
Whoa.
and and that's what, at least for me, it feels like time has stopped, and that's one of the reasons why I'm aware of when these things are happening now. And it took me years to figure
Us.
that out. Yeah.
So you are the eye
Yeah.
as well. For sure. You're definitely
Um,
part of the eye, bro. Yeah, it's the thing.
it,
It's like noticing for me, it's for what it means to me, it's like noticing the things that are happening and looking at it from as many perspectives as possible to create the most accurate view and depiction of what we deem to be reality. And the players, the masters involved, all the little like it's becoming so obvious that to actually call it the eye is kind of like tongue in cheek in a way. So, but yeah, I know what you mean, dude.
yeah. I had this conversation with Pam earlier this week. Actually, I think it was today, now that I'm thinking about it, that you know, there are times when I'm super confident about what I'm doing, and I'm full on. Yes, we got this.
Right.
Whatever is happening is something I can affirm. And then there are times when, quite honestly, like anybody who is having any type of experience, you know, there tends to be a point where when you start talking about things and so forth, that something called imposter syndrome starts taking shape in your life,
Yes.
where you are actually trying to program yourself to believe that nothing is real about what you're experiencing. And I find this in my practice too. I've talked to many people who have said that, yeah, sometimes I feel like an imposter. I feel like I'm like nothing, like none of this is real, and that I'm just literally an imposter in the scheme of all of this. And I think that is a combination of our subconscious or our conscious, one of the two, trying to tell us, you know,
Right.
all the old lies from childhood, you
Right.
know, and
That's great.
not only that, but I also believe that there are outside influences that would love to shut us down on the spiritual level as well as the non-spiritual level.
Oh yeah.
You we're not fighting a war of flesh and blood, but there are flesh and blood creatures out there who possess the same abilities or the same type of abilities that would give them a doorway into your mind to be
Absolutely.
able
It's
to
a
say,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, to be
I
able to
was thinking.
say
Yeah,
implant.
yeah, I was
Hmm.
thinking, dude. It's definitely not like a nuts and bolts kind of thing or a physical situation. It's a spiritual war. It's
Hmm.
a spiritual war against us, love, our children, love for one another, respect, honesty, any type of values that you would deem lack of a better term, holy things that bind us together as a human species. They want to disrupt that in any way they want. I think they're showing their hand way too strongly now, and it's become so obvious that more people, for lack of a better term, once again, are waking up, and we are connecting. And that's why you can't say what you really want to say. This is being broadcast on YouTube. There's a lot of things I want to say. I haven't figured out how to do Rumble yet. Rye is trying to help me out. He goes, "Yeah, you got to do this." Oh my god, dude! But eventually, I'm gonna at least do some pre-records and go over there. But that's what I'm talking about. It's when we were younger, Daniel, like we used to play outside. That's all we did.
Right.
We didn't know anything about being inside. My parents told me, get the hell out of the house and go do something. And the whole neighborhood would watch everyone's kids. There's Mr. Johnson down the street. There's Mrs. Whatever over this side. And if you messed up, you did something stupid, she would come out and kick your butt. Then she would drag you by your ear down the house to your parents, and they would kick your butt again. But now everyone's inside playing, World of Warcraft, some type of army game, and it's all about separation and disconnecting. So when you in this weird video medium, there's both at play. There's the disconnection and the connection, and I hope that I'm making the latter instead of the previous, and I hope that's what I'm. That I think it's true because I get to meet someone like you that we meet on such an interesting level. Like I said, that first conversation I had with you on the pod, because we kind of talk and it's cordial. I don't know you very well, and I think I told you in the pod, it's like I think I've known you like my whole life without actually knowing you. And you were like, "Yeah, I know you too." And I was like, "Oh God, what's going on?" It's just an amazing time, but at the same time, it's a very trying time. And you just you can't make changes from without. You have to make changes from within. And if everyone did that, you would see nirvana instantly happen before our eyes. But like I said, the powers that be want to separate us by sex, religion, race, height, width, diversity, everything possible, socioeconomic status. You're in this country, I'm over in this country. We're all the same except for the Olympics. Then we play our little song, we wave our little flag, and it's so strange. And people are like, what is going on? But shows like this and many others, you guys go down in the description and click on other ones that are also great. Like Paul's show, the Paranormal Among Us. He's a great guy. Your show, which we're gonna boost. Once again, do me a favor, guys. Go over and like and subscribe to Magical Journeys channel. He's gonna talk to you about some things, and it's just an incredible time to be alive, actually.
It really is. Right quick, I do want to say this too. I'm going through the process of, and this is not the first time I've done this, of a rebranding kind of. So I'm still doing content there. I'm trying to figure out how to do scheduled content right now with my schedule. I travel with my job, and it's a little bit iffy some days, but we're getting there. I will tell you this. I mentioned this to you in the green room a few minutes ago. Like, from our first contact until now, literally things are just starting to. I can see the whirlwind forming.
Yeah. I'm pointing down at your channel at the bottom that people can go over and just go ahead and highlight and click it. While you're talking,
thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you, guys.
When you're talking. As you're talking, people, they click onto you. They feel the vibe that you give out. At the same time, I'm trying to find a way to point because my green screen is not working the way I'd like to. I will get a computer eventually here when I can afford one. And that's what I'm doing. So keep going. We're in a whirlwind, man. We were talking before the show. Go for it.
The whirlwind is forming now, and I'm starting to experience things on a much more accelerated level with meeting people and so forth. I went to the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid conference this past weekend. Yeah. That happens sometimes when I'm first really waking up. That's why I don't drive right away when I first get up. Yeah. I give myself time, especially in a strange town. I met I told you I met Daryl and Martin. They were amazing people. Actually, Martin was the first person, like when I went out to uh, the the vendor area, I was walking past their tables, and he spoke to me right away, and I was just
Wow.
like, he asked me, he said, "What did you think of the presentation?" And that just set the ball rolling for an incredible experience with the two of them because their tables were next to each other pretty much. And you know, and I'm not going to give away his presentation, but I will tell you this. I thought he had a great take on it. It was very different from what I was expecting, but it was everything that should have been said. Um, all the speakers were amazing. If you
Okay.
guys live in or around or can get to the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Conference next year, I really encourage you guys to do that. It's in McMinnville, Tennessee. Uh, the venue is great. The parking was excellent to be able to get into. I'm not one that does
Okay.
well in big towns. Like I tried to go to something a week before that in Knoxville, and I finally gave up because I couldn't find parking and I was getting frustrated. I don't do big town and big city stuff very well.
Well,
Um,
next time I'll drive. I don't like towns and cities as well. You will never catch me in New York or LA ever. But
oh,
next time
never.
I'll go with you and I'll drive. You yell out the window and I'll honk the horn and we'll get there, buddy.
Right, right. We could do that. Um,
Yeah,
I will say
absolutely.
I did not mention to you another twosome that I met there that I was very surprised because their schedule when I saw that they were going to be there, that was one of the reasons why I went because the lineup of the three of these speakers was amazing. I thought Jesse and Joe Doyle were there from Hellbent Holler.
I've heard about them.
Oh my goodness. Look, I can't even begin to tell you, like, I'm just now diving into their material. And I can't even begin to tell you how just it's crazy. They're very tech heavy. So I think that because of they're very tech savvy and very tech heavy, they're able to catch things that other people just don't catch. That and the fact that Jessie has an energy about her that like if you meet her, you'll understand. I can't even like honestly put it into words. She is an amazing human being. Joe is incredible. Like they are a dynamic duo. So getting to speak to them briefly, there was this. It was an amazing experience. Um, I went and messaged Jesse the other day, as a matter of fact, and said, "Hey, I'm watching your stuff now. I'm going to have a ton of questions before it's over with."
Wow. So shout
And
out to Hellbed Holler, shout out to Barton Groves, and shout out to my buddy Daryl Denton. I
oh yeah,
love me some Daryl Denton.
Daryl, honestly, I'm going to tell you, like, he is the most warm and welcoming. They both are. Like, all of them are actually. But Daryl and I had quite a conversation. And I got to tell you, like, if you're one of those people that feel awkward talking to people for the first time, this is the person to break you into the human race because
Great.
he
There we go.
literally is just like he's
Um,
so down to earth and so
yeah.
very
He's like
I
a
don't even
big,
it's
cuddly
a
grizzly bear, I'd imagine. He's like a big, cuddly bear. He's huge. He's a tall guy. I'm
he is
six
tall.
three. I'm 6'3". I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". He's a big guy.
Yeah, well they all are. Like Harley said something the other day about he is like I think he said he was 6'6",
He's up there too. He's a big man.
and
That's
I'm
pretty funny.
like
Big guys out there looking for big creatures in the woods. It's pretty funny.
And here I am. I just top at like I barely make it to almost 6 foot, and I'm thinking to myself, if I ever, especially at this point in my life, if I ever went out with somebody and tried to explore, I would need to have somebody that was at least 6'3" or 6'4" to go with me to be able to because otherwise the Squatch guy would probably look at me and go, oh, look, it's a little person.
I would definitely go. Yeah, they were like, he's a little forest. Look at him, a little forest man. I would definitely go out with Daryl. He has that thing about him that the way he was talking about. I had him on a live recently. He was talking about that group that he got into contact with that they ended up when he went back after he's been going back for over a year and a half. One time he went back and they cleared the forest and they ran away. The way he talked about that, you're just like, man, this guy, not only does he know what he's doing, but he's so genuine in what he does. He's just the most likable person that one of the most likable people I've met doing what I do. So yeah, shout out to Dale.
Oh yeah,
I love you, brother.
This is the thing. You got to understand the cultures I'm used to being around are not very welcoming groups of people, and for various reasons. So when I walked into this, I was like, my first thing was I was like, okay, I have a list of hot words and hot phrases that if anybody mentions today, I know I'm in the right place.
Okay.
Those words were mentioned in the first 10 minutes of the conference.
Oh my God.
Almost all of them. And I was like, okay, so I'm in the right place. So then, and there's other people I met and other people who were there that honestly, I'm so bad about remembering names, and some of these people are really new to me. I've never seen a community that's so open, but honestly, if you think about it, I understand in a sense because my own experience with things. It's like if you find a group of like-minded people that don't think you're batshit crazy, it gives you that platform to finally just be yourself, be comfortable, and welcome other people in because Yeah,
open for discussion, open for new ideas, willing to tell their own and go, oh, I've never tried that before. I've never thought about that before. I think we are drowning in information, but at the same time, we're also drowning in divisiveness unnecessarily, especially when it comes to these mysteries that quote unquote mysteries to you,
right.
They've been part of your life forever. But for other people who are just getting into it, who are interested, there's a lot of divisiveness, and especially in the cryptid community, or if you want to call it that. Are they flesh and blood? Are they this? Are they that? And I think they're all of the above. So to put your subjective experience might be different than the person next to you, but why would that mean you have to put your fingers in your ears and go la la la? I don't understand that.
Right. Or to get argumentative. I've seen people just break down and go into primal mode over these things, and I'm like, it's not that serious. We don't know yet. Look, I'm starting to feel more and more comfortable telling people I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know anything.
That's important.
Because here's the thing of it. I am not, first of all, I've lived in a time period when we had authoritarians. I grew up in an authoritarian family. I went to an authoritarian organization at one point. I was studying under a group of people that started out they started out with a good idea. They started out with a great community, and they were building at one time an amazing experience for people and grew phenomenally worldwide from a little town, a little part of California, all the way into a worldwide experience. By the end of the living founders' reign over this group, it had become very authoritarian,
Yeah.
and there was nobody who could break that down. This person was the end all and be all, the spokesperson for God Almighty, and there was no questioning any of it. The problem with that is that it becomes obviously cult mentality. The message gets lost very quickly to those that should be going to, because people get fearful of that. That's my biggest. There are two things that is very disturbing to me right now, and this is one of the reasons why I'm very hesitant about going forward with my journey and with my mission at this point,
Okay.
because I do not want people to think that I am the beginning and ending of all knowledge, because I know nothing. I know a lot of stuff, but I know nothing. And secondly, I'm terrified of the idea of becoming one of those people that people start looking to as the
Yeah.
guru.
It's a
The
weird
guru.
feeling. It's a weird
You know,
feeling.
it's very weird, and here's why. Because when you get to that point, we're human beings, and there's a tendency for human beings to excel into an area that's very dangerous and very daunting and very destructive. When you become, I mean, look at our past. Okay, Jim Jones,
Oh,
David
wow.
Koresh, all of
Wow.
these people who had a cultish following that led into, well, the group that I'm talking about. Some of you may actually know the history of Church Universal and Triumphant. And I'm not going to go into that because that's for another show coming up, because they were part of the I Am movement. But
Yeah, that's our show that we actually have scheduled. So for you people out there, he's coming back. We're going to get into that at what did we have that up? The 4th of September, 4th of September, I believe, something like that. Yes, yeah. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
it is the
another
fourth.
fun one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, please.
So you can go back and research this. It's very well documented because, like in Livingston, Montana, it became such an issue that the church was actually sued at one point um, for contaminating the national park over there with oil from a fallout shelter had leaked a stock of oil, and they went through something called the shelter cycle because of a prophecy that their leader supposedly got. I was actually a studying member of that group, not at the compound itself, when this started taking place, and when they started talking about the shelter cycle. Um, that mentality scares me to death, to be honest with you, because there are two sides to that coin. There
Okay.
are the fanatical followers and the people who want to crucify you. Okay, the people who want to take you down, and both scare the pants off of me, and I'll tell you why. They're both equally dangerous, because the fanatical followers, if you fail and they find out, they turn on you. Those who don't like you are going to turn on you anyway because they don't like you. So you could at any moment be sandwiched in between literally a trap.
Yeah, yeah. They're waiting for it.
Yeah,
They're waiting for it.
yeah,
It's kind of like
yeah.
it's kind of like a dictatorship of sorts. You know what I mean? You're all on the
Mhm.
top, and once there's a little chink in the armor, then they come and get you. Shade Viking, who is new to the channel, awesome. Thanks for coming on the live. He wrote something really great. I like that. I like to shout it out. So wise words. I like to think we have to know we have to know nothing to then have room to gain everything. Yes, that's wise to know our place. We really have no idea. There's just too much to ponder. What a great thing to say, and that is exactly, you're in the right place, my friend. This is exactly what we want to talk about, amongst the salacious things, the Bigfoot attacks, and the strangeness, the high strangeness that's all over the world, consciousness, psychedelics, all the things that I find to be mind opening and all that as well, is that you always have to ground yourself. Because when you were saying
Mhm.
that once you get to a position and people start following what you say, you do get like a Napoleon complex as well. Not a Napoleon complex, but a complex in which, like a cult of personality. And there are some people in this space that do that. I'm not going to mention any names. You can go ahead and add
Right.
to that. We know that it can be a very dangerous thing to do. But my experience in that is that I was in the comedy scene in Frankfurt, Germany. And when I
Mhm.
started, I was, a nobody. I was just getting my feet wet, throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. But once I started getting a following where like crowds would come in just to see me at an open mic. I mean, the guy who ran the show is one of my best friends, Kirky, the Indian fellow. He's on here a lot, and he would put me all over, like at the end of the show, at the beginning of the show, just because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do all of that
Mhm.
to be uncomfortable. To be comfortable doing comedy, you have to be uncomfortable doing comedy. But it got to a
Right.
point at which he would put me on at the break. There would be like an hour, then it would be a break for like 15 minutes. People go to the bathroom, get a
Mhm.
beer, whatever they want to do, and then come back. What we were noticing is that like maybe 25 to 30% of the audience would leave. But if I were to be the last one on, then they would stay. So what was happening is that the new
Mhm.
comics that were coming in would say, I need you to look at my set. What do you think about this? How do you do that? So there's like this pressure upon you. And
Mhm.
it's a very uncomfortable thing because all I'm trying to do is be myself. So
Mhm.
there is that pressure. Even this channel. I mean, I got great. I got you. I got Pam. I got Freaky Geek. We have so many wonderful people on this channel, and if this episode fell out today, a lot of people would be upset. I'd come on and have an open mic, and probably maybe Paul would jump on with me or somebody. We would make a show no matter what. But there's a bit of pressure that every Wednesday I know I got to be here.
Mhm.
And it's not because of the pressure. I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, there's always a little bit of pressure in the
Right.
background to not me being myself is not me performing. It's just me being me. So it's not hard. But I always want to make people feel welcome when they come. And
Right.
so there's always that bit of pressure too to make people feel like, hey, this is a cool place to come and explore ideas and concepts. And
Right.
it's still a bit of pressure to do so, if you know what I mean.
Oh
I'm sure
yeah.
you will.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Your channel's going to blow up, brother. I guarantee it.
Well, and this is one of the things too. I think I mentioned this to Pam today when we were talking. Is I feel like I tell my this is kind of my mantra every day now is to remind myself that I am just kind of the vessel for information. I'm not the source of the information. It's not the information is not even my responsibility. This is what I'm being given. It's not,
Wow.
it
Wow. I
really
never heard it
is
said such eloquently, but that's basically what I'm doing as well. That's very interesting.
and the fact of the matter is I have to tell myself that on a daily basis because I catch myself wanting to hold back. I catch myself wanting to not do the thing. And and at the same time, the thing is what I was put here for. It it's just like somebody being put here to be a doctor or to be a mechanic or to be a baker or whatever your thing is. That's what you were put here for at this time. We talk a lot about the things going on, all of the craziness and so forth. And one of the things that was given to me very, very strongly recently is part, not all, but part, and a big part of what we're experiencing right now is a direct connection of mankind's own karma based
Oh,
on what we put out. Because you think about it, all through history, in America especially, you've had this pounding on the pulpit, telling people about all of these horrible things that are going to happen because of their actions and because of this and because of that. And over time, more and more and more, it gets programmed into us to the point where we start asking the universe for this just by thinking about it. And
Ooh,
so it goes back to the whole concept of you know your positive affirmations versus your negative affirmations. What you get or what you send out is what you're going to get. The mass consciousness is drawing some of this to themselves.
yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
manifesting your reality, but the thing is that we don't realize because I mean, I'm a child of like the '90s. You know what I mean? I was born in 1980, so I'm a
mhm,
child of the '90s. And back then, we didn't think of any of this stuff. This was before 9/11. This is before all. I mean, we
mhm,
had with the '93, we had the Oklahoma City bombing. There was a lot of big
mhm,
things that were still happening, but it kept ramping up. It just kept ramping up.
mhm,
And so, I think, I truly believe that it's like we were saying, it's a spiritual war. That these people
mhm.
want us on a lower vibration. They want us to stay within our five senses, so that we don't question anything. But it's become
Right.
so something has happened. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. Something amazing has happened. I don't know if it's like God's touch or that's a tainted word, but whatever word you choose, the source, whatever it is, has touched this world in a sense where we see it, and then we look to the neighbor next to us and we're like, "You see this too, don't you?" And so
Mhm,
now it's starting to become such a it's just so insanely obvious that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I hopefully they won't make us. I think they want us to get to a point where they kind of maybe put in martial law, maybe
mhm.
possibly, so that they can then enact powers to do things that they shouldn't be able to do. Um, but we have to be positive, especially in this moment in time. There's things that had happened that were intentional. I'm not going to get
Mhm,
political, but if you can see that there's no this guy is not out there doing any type of campaigning. They put him on a debate.
mhm,
We all know that he is not exactly what he used to be, which is not necessarily a good and or bad person. But they're saying no, he's there, he's great, he's fast, he's wonderful. Even Jon Stewart was like, "Did you guys videotape this?" To be very funny, and I thought that was hilarious. We see it, and we're like, "Oh my god, did he just say that?" And then they bump
mhm,
him off. They skip the primaries, and they just throw this other person who is literally has
mhm.
been voted as the worst VP ever, and now she's being gaslighted as the savior. And you have to. I'm not swaying one side or other. I have my who I'm going to go for. I voted third party before, so you guys go. I voted for all three at one point or another. Just the one that fits with me. And if you don't see that, then I don't know what I can do other than love you. You know what I mean? Still love you. Still be like, hey, it's okay. But at the same time, if you don't see that, like all of a sudden it's just like it just went boop, and it was like, yeah, that's crazy to me. So to get back to what we
Yeah.
were saying,
Yeah.
it's all like a dark magic trick. Is that? Would you be in agreement
Mhm.
with yourself? Would you say that's accurate?
I believe there's magic involved. I don't like the terms dark and light magic because magic is really
Okay.
just energy, and there is no good or bad energy. It's just energy. The manifestation that occurs from the use of that energy can be either good or bad, obviously. But I believe there's definitely um, forms of what people would call black magic being involved, dark magic. uh, I believe there is a lot of. You know, I'm very. I embrace technology to a point, but I also am very concerned about technology. I believe that you know, if if you look at one of the most incredible debates right now is Who is the Antichrist? Who is this? Who is that? If you look at descriptions of some of these quote unquote end time characters, you find that the possibility, especially now that we know what AI is and that AI exists, the possibility of uniting a human being with AI and creating a super being out of that can somehow do things to convince people that they are, you greater than most human beings, and
Wow,
convince them that they are that is a very real possibility, I believe, at this point,
that might be the
and
scariest thing I've ever heard on the scariest thing I've
or
ever heard
will
on the
be.
show. That is the
It
scariest thing
will
I've heard
be
on
at
the
some
show.
point. And the fact of
Wow.
the matter is, here's the other side of that, though. Could you imagine? And this is not something that's going to, but could you imagine that person or that group of people even coming in contact with the opposite of them and what that could look like in the earth shattering sense at times. And of course that I know, I feel I know that that's one of
Mhm.
the things that I'm confident of, that that's really not going to be the scenario. But there are people walking the earth now who have the ability to manifest and call out or call forth um, things, and there'll be more to come, far greater, um,
Okay.
manifest things that are going to be a light in the darkness. Okay.
Okay.
But the thing that we have to understand, though, again, is our mentality toward people who are coming around, who are starting to say these things. You have to have a mentality of they are me and I am them. But for the grace of God, we could be trading shoes here. We're just human beings.
Right.
We're just human beings. Different paths, maybe some different abilities, but it doesn't mean it's like putting a group of kids in a classroom. You've got some that are smarter, some of them that are not so smart. It doesn't mean they're lesser people
Right.
or they're greater people. They're just people. And
Right.
that's the mentality we have to level ourselves out on, is that when you see something happening like that, this miraculous, by all means celebrate the miracle, but
Of
remember the
existence.
miracle is not coming from the vessel. The vessel is just the vessel. The miracle is the miracle.
Right.
Okay,
The mere
we are
fact that
just
you
a person.
exist, the mere fact that you exist right now and you're able to consciously talk to another being and they understand you and you can have these concepts back and forth is the miracle. We are all one
Right,
consciousness experiencing itself subjectively through many. And people
right,
fail to realize that most of the time. It's incredible. Psychedelics will tell you that. If you really, you can do Kundalini yoga for 20 years and finally get there, or you can take a nice little shot of, psilocybin and be right there in that moment. It might freak you out because that's what happened to me. I was like, oh my God, I don't know jack squat about nothing, and it completely like dismembered my like ego and just shattered it and messed me up for a very long time. But I came back, I would say, even stronger because it not only did it like increase my ability to love, it increased my potential ability to love. You know what I mean? Like that opened up as well. So that's what we have to do. He was saying, if you have a classroom or a country or just a human species at all, you can take it on a micro scale or a macrocosm, however way you want to put it. I feel magical that when you do it, you have to look at everything through the filter of love. And
hmm
you can be, intelligent quotient is not going to tell you how much you can love somebody. It's not,
right.
you can have a person who's on the spectrum. They're, low down on the spectrum, and they might have. Oh, we lost them. I'll go ahead and see if I can finish this thought. Maybe you have a jump back on. I'm sure he will. They're going to be down on the quotient, that spectrum, but they have the uncanny ability to love. And that's what's most important in the end, is like to look and filter everything through the eyes of love. Let's see who's coming back. There he is. Well, he is in a hotel. He is in a hotel room, ladies and gentlemen. He jumped on, and yeah, hopefully I got him there, but it's not. It doesn't.
There we go. That was
Yeah,
interesting.
that was interesting. As soon as we start talking about love and consciousness and loving everybody, they want to bump us off. We're fantastic. But
Well,
we're back.
not only that, but you got to understand these things that everything that we've been talking about for a bit is the one thing that literally shakes the foundation of like I've had people who don't even know me react to me in the most un just like unprecedented way in public. This is one of the
Also,
reasons why I don't. Yeah, I don't work dayside anymore. I work at night to get away from people because I don't like. There's two responses I get from people. They either want to come up to me and give me their entire life story, or they want to beat me in the head with something. It's like, and there's some gray in between there, but those are the two extremes that I usually get. And when somebody comes to me and they start getting aggressive or hostile right away without even knowing who I am, I immediately perceive that, first of all, obviously as a threat, but I also perceive that as somebody who is repulsed by the light. Okay, so
or hurt.
or they're
I perceive them as being hurt.
well, and which is reason one of the reasons why they are repulsed by the light. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people, but
True.
you know you have to you have to understand. And the guy who does the confessionals podcast
Tony Merkel.
has
Tony Merkel.
has a wonderful comment that he makes about the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think a lot of times is happening. They come in contact with somebody like me who has spent a lifetime struggling and fighting the fight to try to be a better person, and who for whatever reason has these experiences that are much different in some ways than what the majority of people seem to have. Whenever they're in contact with that, it does piss them off because it's a physical confirmation of something that
Well,
they're not ready to accept, but they know. Like when you come in
yes.
contact with somebody who is a living, breathing, and by no means, like, I am not a perfect person. I'll tell you that in a heartbeat. I have more conflict and more shadow work ahead of me than any other human being probably I know, because
Well, welcome to the club, buddy. I'm with you. I
you,
swear. What do you think? You think this is all because doing this show is because I'm all bubbles and unicorns, man? No, man. There's a lot of
right.
soul searching. There's a lot of things inside of me that that I'm working through, and in meeting. I'm seriously. This is not no bullshit. Meeting people like
Yeah.
you and someone who's able to even say that is affirmation of what I do and in doing this. So yeah, there's a lot of that. And if you're personally, I feel I'm not going to stand on a soapbox or anything. Like, if you're unable to like look at yourself, you there's levels of of awareness of yourself. There's the thing that
Mhm.
you do. There's then the ability to see what you're doing. Then there's the
Mhm.
ability to think about what you see, what you're doing. And then I'm at the fourth, I think, is the how I feel about how I'm seeing that I feel that I'm doing. It sounds so crazy, but that's where
Mhm.
I am. And but what I'm at my best is when I'm in the flow state and when I'm meeting someone and I can just flow and I know that my I don't feel any, I guess we would say karmic, like, I have to be nice now, or I have to say this, or I can't say that. And I just be myself. Hey, what's up, Chris? What's up, dude? Um, it's hard. It came to a point for me, I think, like that filter that they put into your brain of like not saying what you should be saying instead of saying what they want you to say or not say,
Mhm.
burnt away doing stand up. So I know how to react to people who don't like what I say, and I know how to like just give it back with love. Like, have you thought about the horseman on your doorstep? You know, it's kind of like a bit of a test sometimes. I like when people. I enjoy when people are a little uncomfortable with themselves because they're saying something that I don't believe they think is true. They're just saying it because they think it's true, or they've been told that they think it's true. And when you kind of put like that in front of them, like a mirror, but like not angrily, like my girlfriend, I love her to death. She's fantastic. She's like, you are such a different type of person, and it's so for some people it's very off-putting the way I approach them. But like with someone like you, I don't feel that. Like it was just like, and it's like, oh, okay, I know where we are. We're good to go. I don't have to test you. Do you have that feeling as well that sometimes you put like a little, not a trap for them to fall in, but a trap to see which level of conversation you can even have with them?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to
It's interesting,
because
isn't it?
honestly, like, and I have coworkers that I love. I really do. They're great people. Some of them, but some of them have asked me questions before because they know some of the stuff that I'm into, and you know, and I have to ask myself, like, what level of conversation can we have right now because their experience is limited. So, you know, you can't go full force on them. You got to pull back and you've got to give them milk before you give them meat. So I have to remember to pull back. I have to remember to break it down into more simple terms because if I went full force, it would literally throw them off to the point where they would be like, I don't get any of this, so I'm not going to deal with it. And you don't want to do that. But the thing of it is,
Okay.
like, the other side of that too, though, is if somebody is not going to be receptive and they're going to retaliate from truth, you really want to be aware of that. At least I do, because I don't want. First of all, I don't feel like I should have to defend myself, and I do not feel like I should have to defend whatever message I'm bringing out at the time, because
Right.
their reaction is not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. Now I say that, but inwardly, the child in me is terrified of that response because I don't want to be that
True.
person to become a target to those people. And I think that's where the struggle lies. A lot of people seem to think that when someone reaches a level of where we put ourselves out there and we start talking and we start getting involved and we start becoming active and activated, I think people immediately think that it's just because it seems such a second nature to us that it's just the way it is, that it's so easy, that it's so, this and so that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, we are human. We still have fears. We still have limitations. We still have limitations. Again, I am not a perfect being by no means. I will never be a perfect being in this lifetime. You know, I can't tell you right now for the sake of time, mostly the great failures, even recently, that I've experienced um, because of that. But the fact of the matter is
Yeah, but
did the
there's nothing wrong with
did
that. That's the
yeah,
journey. That's the
yeah,
purpose. To
that
me,
is
that's
the
the purpose,
journey.
is the mistakes. That's the beauty in the mistakes as well. That there's so much beauty in the mistakes as well. And people, a lot of times, for a lot of reasons, because it can really emotionally, especially when you're young, like hook into you, and to like to take that barb off and to pull it out and then bend it straight and to throw it to the side is so difficult. But the beauty in making mistakes is not learning from the mistakes of others. You have to, because that's an outward thing.
Right,
You see someone,
right,
do something like, marry the wrong person. I don't know, drug and alcohol addiction, whatever it is that that's wrong. And they're like, I'm just pulling things out of the ether here, but like it's the things inside, like the way you thought about something now has changed because of new information, or like a
mhm,
new experience that you've never thought possible. And you were like, oh wow, I was so wrong about all that.
right,
Pardon me.
right. Well, there was so one of the big things is I always use an example of with people who question somebody's truth is the concept of polygamy in the Mormon Church. Okay, there was a point where in the Doctrine and Covenants that Joseph Smith dictated a letter where polygamy seemed like it was acceptable at the time. Then all of a sudden he goes back and retracts that later and says, no, this is not okay. And,
Mm.
and a lot of people have always questioned, well, was he valid in his claims because he made a big mistake here? Is like, and because he claimed to be a spokesperson for God, they felt like he was saying that God made a mistake. And so it
Yeah,
totally invalidated him.
I don't want to, so I don't want to like, make anyone feel uncomfortable with their religious beliefs. If you're a Mormon,
Right,
that's your faith. You know what I mean? But at the same
right.
time, we know what charlatanism is. We know what it means to, you know, I believe there was at one point where they read the golden tablets out of the book, out of the hat or whatever it was, and then the person then said, I lost it, so he made him repeat it again, and it was different. So there's a lot of that. You have to understand that a lot of this in this 3D universe that we find ourselves in is this. Um, there's a bit of a primate mentality. Just to
Hmm.
simplify, to put it in some type of evolutionary terms that people may understand from school, and that is to conquer and to have you know a multitude of women or whatever it is that you're looking for. And there's a lot of that too. There's a lot of that too. I mean, because my lady is Catholic, and I say it's there's a lot of like vampirism and cannibalism in that.
And they shut us down again. Wow. Did they really do that again? So I'm not really sure what's going on here because I can't see the chat and Thomas froze. Oh boy. Hmm. Oh boy. This is interesting. Oh, the internet crashed, you said. Um, Wait a minute. What? Hold on a second. Let me check this. Okay.
Wow. Okay, you guys see me? Sorry, my internet crashed, completely crashed. It happens sometimes here. I think like I said, my computer's a little bit old. It has happened in the past, but I thought I'd fix that. Um, my buddy Magical Journey. Oh, he's here again. We'll chat for a couple more seconds. We're very sorry.
Sorry about that, guys.
Um,
So let me
no, I
throw.
had to restart the whole. I had to restart the whole computer. Go
Wow.
ahead, and let's go ahead and throw it out real quick because I think it's going to crash again because I can see that it's low. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Possibly.
We'll definitely do this again. You're going to be back many times, many times. So let's
Awesome.
go ahead one more time. Let's promote your channel. It's Magical Journey on YouTube. You can also go over and follow
Right.
him on Facebook. If you want to have an engaging chat with him, you can write him. He will write you back immediately. This is my friend. He We didn't even get into the stuff we wanted to talk about. We just started talking about like what it means to interact in the world that we live in, and it was fun. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I did too. I do want to throw in really quickly, like one of my ancestors was actually a missionary with Joseph Smith's brother. So he served in the church. He was actually one of the one of the founders of the church. So it's interesting that that kind of broke out right after we started talking about.
I got lucky to come back on time, and Pamela just gave me some super chat love. Thank you so much, Pam. You are amazing. As hopefully
We love
I'm
Pam.
not quite monetized. I'm not. Yes, Pam's the best. I'm not quite monetized yet, but I am at the point where I'm just waiting for my code. There's a code they give you,
Hmm.
but in Mexico there is no mailboxes, so we'll see what happens with that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I know that Rye over at Codex he hasn't gotten his yet, and he's been monetized for 3 months. So we'll see how much fun
How do
that's
you
going to be.
get
Anyway,
mail?
it's you really don't get mail. You don't get mail. It's kind of great in a way too. Um, you can get packages. I live like in an apartment. It's more of a family, so they kind of like everyone grabs it and brings it in.
Ah,
There is an address I can use. A friend of mine has an address, and it just you just use it as the address. But we're going to see how that works out at the end. Hey Tom, you're in Mexico. I wonder if you've seen any UFOs down there because of the strange place. I haven't seen any UFOs yet, but this particular place is known for them. I'm in Campeche, Mexico. Go ahead and look it up. There was a sighting, I think, in 2004 by the Mexican Air Force right off the coast here,
hmm.
where they seen them. And recently, there was also one I think that came out of the ocean. Interestingly enough. Thanks,
Yeah.
Pam. This is my PayPal if you guys want to help me out so my computer doesn't crash. I think it might have been my computer, to be honest with you. It is what it is, dude. It's older than my daughter, and she just had her 8th birthday 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. One more time, this is Magical Journey's Facebook page, and go over there and check him out. And this is my Facebook page. Go over there. We have a great group. We have a lot of if you have any cool things you want to pop up, any cool site out, most likely a spider web. Anywho, we always have a lot of fun. And Shane Viking, welcome to the club, dude. Go over. Please do me a favor. Here I go. I'm going to go ahead and put the outro. Yeah, thank you so much. I subbed. I'm going to go ahead and put the outro in here. Is anything you want to say before you go, buddy?
Just you guys have a safe and well day, and may your journey always be magical.
That's well said. All right, buddy. I'll see you around, okay? Thank you so much for helping me out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Whenever you start doing your stuff, I'm sure eventually you're going to get into it. Just go ahead and give me a call. We can talk about anything you want.
Good deal. Thank you. I definitely will.
All right, buddy. Love you. See you later, man. All right. That was Magical Journey. Let me go get my off of here. Boom. Like Pamela says, we are the eye, we are aware. Thank you so much for coming today and enjoying that conversation. I have to go back and redo the thumbnail. I have no idea what to call this episode, but I'm sure something will occur to me eventually. A shout out one time, go over real quick, and just because they couldn't make it doesn't mean they're not great. It is the Sasquatchers Network with Andrew and JD. They're wonderful, and I had a great time today with you guys. It was a lot of fun. It's really always fun talking with him. You never know what we're going to get into. He's that kind of guy who just has a lot of things to talk about. It's just so much fun. And remember, we are the eye, and we are aware. And I love you all very much. Have a wonderful day.